អង្គុយចុះអង្គជំនុំជម្រះប្រកាសបន្តកិច្ចដំណើរការនីតិវិធីសមការដំបូងសូម
The court is back in session. Noon Chair, defense lawyer, you have the floor.
Mr. Civil Party, I have a few follow-up questions for you. And my first question relates to one of your brothers-in-law who had been climbing the coconut tree and subsequently, so you said, had been arrested for trying to steal a coconut. Did anybody tell you that was the reason for his arrest?
Answer. They whispered to me the reasons, and since I came to the cooperative, I saw him from behind, and then my son came to see me, and he said that his uncle Boer had been arrested, and I told him to tell that to his aunt. So she came to beg the Khmer Rouge, and they pushed both of them away and brought them away.
I'm not sure if I understand everything that you just said, Mr. Civil Party. My question is, did anybody tell you, anybody with authority, be it a unit chief or be it a sub-district chief or anybody with authority, why your brother had been arrested?
No local authority told me why, but some of the base people children told me why he had been arrested.
And did they tell you how they knew the reason why he was arrested?
They knew the reasons because they were base people children, and they knew that the people who were taken away had been executed, and they said, well, why my brother had been brought away.
Could you explain to the chamber why it is that base people or base children were in a position to know reasons for arrest of your brother-in-law?
Well, it was their parents who told them why. And as I knew that they were base people, I would behave well, so therefore they told everything to me in secret.
Mr. Civil Party, would it be possible that you are in fact speculating about the arrest of your brother-in-law and that in reality you do not know the reason why he was arrested?
No, I was not speculating. I saw this with my own eyes. They arrived in the cooperative, and I arrived just afterwards. And that's what I saw. I actually saw this arrest.
I'm not disputing that you saw his arrest, but I was asking if you knew the reason for his arrest. And if I understood your answer correctly, you said it was the parents of the base children who would know. But let me follow up on this. Do you know how the base people of those children knew the reason for the arrest of your brother-in-law?
Well, they knew it because they walked before the cooperative, and everybody could see this scene. And I arrived a little bit later, and everybody was pointing at them and saying, "Yes, you see, they're being arrested."
Let me turn to the other brother-in-law. If I understood correctly, you were saying that he was arrested because he had told one of the Khmer Rouge cadres that he was able to drive a car, fly a plane, and do everything. In relation to this brother-in-law, did anybody with a position of authority tell you in person why this other brother-in-law was arrested?
Answer: I am not aware of this, but I believe that it is possible that while this happened while the mobile units were tending cows, and he disappeared without any reason. So I never saw him come back. So therefore I concluded that he had been indeed taken away to be executed.
That, Mr. Civil Party, seems to be another possible speculation on your part. But my question is, would it be fair to summarize the testimony that you just gave when I say that you actually do not know the reason for the arrest of your other brother-in-law?
Answer: well, my conclusion is well-founded because while I was harvesting the dry season rice, I never saw him come back. And all of those who disappeared also did not come back.
Maybe it's because I'm not asking my questions clearly, Mr. Civil Party. I wasn't asking you about what possibly happened eventually to your brothers-in-law, but I was asking you if you had any knowledge, real knowledge, about the reasons for their arrest. Would it be fair to say that you do not have knowledge as to the reasons of their arrest, but that you are in fact speculating, or you have been speculating?
Answer: when I'm saying this to you, it is because I was told that anyone who had more education than the Khmer Rouge had to be brought away to be re-educated, and these people disappeared forever. And my brother-in-law claimed that he knew how to do everything, and that's why he disappeared in the end. It is because he was boasting, maybe, and that's why he disappeared forever.
Have you actually seen with your own eyes what happened to both brothers-in-law? Or did they just go away one day, taken away one day, and you never saw them again? Is that what is your testimony?
កាលណាគេនាំទៅហើយមិនដែលឃើញមកវិញ
When one was taken away, that meant that they died, that you would die. Everyone told me in secret that they had been taken away to be killed, and that is what they told me in secret.
Mr. Civil Party, what you should try to understand, it is difficult, I realize, is that what is relevant is what you have seen yourself with your own eyes. And my question is, have you, with your own eyes, seen yourself what happened to both brothers-in-law?
Answer. I saw my brother-in-law being arrested, but with regard to the one who was arrested during the dry season rice harvest, no. But I could have guessed that they would die, because anyone who was taken off the work sites would disappear. And it was the same for those who would tend to the cows.
Well, Mr. Civil Party, on the chair that you are sitting on now, only the person that was sitting on that chair before you are sitting.
លោកមេធាវីបន្តសំណួរទៀតទៅសំណួរគាត់ឆ្លើយសមល្មមអាចស្ដាប់យល់ហើយគឺគាត់បង្ហាញច្បាស់លាស់ថាគាត់ខាងបកប្រែភាសា លោកមេធាវីបន្តសំណួរថ្មី
Council Koppe, can you move on to another series of questions? We have understood his answer. He was aware of the disappearance of a brother-in-law, but he does not know why he disappeared. He just concluded why. So his answer was clear, I believe. And you asked the same question several times. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to just extend your speech time here, or what's the purpose here?
No, I'm not, Mr. President. I will move on. And that is the answer that you gave just before the break, Mr. Civil Party, on dividing people based on their ethnicity. And you said that Chinese people were put together with other Chinese people. Can you give us some more details as to how this went about? How was that organized? How did that happen?
Answer. With regard to the splitting of the different people, first people would stay together in their families, and then the new people were gathered together, and then the Chinese and the Vietnamese were gathered together.
But can you tell me how the Khmer Rouge cadres did that? Did they announce something to the effect all Chinese assemble at this point? Did people have something in their identity cards that indicated that they were Chinese? Can you give us some insight as to how this division went according to you?
Answer. New people were identified, or Chinese Khmer were also identified. They had lighter skin, and they could also recognize their accents. And the Vietnamese, for example, also have a very clear answer and have light skin. And since I'm Chinese Khmer, I was put in the group of the Chinese Khmer.
This is the first time I think I'm hearing evidence like this. Mr. Civil Party, can you explain to us how you were identified by the particular cadre as having a Chinese descent? You said something about the color of your skin. How else was this cadre able to make that distinction?
Answer. Well, my family, my wife, and myself, we are mixed bloods. And my wife also speaks Khmer with an accent. That's why we were put into a group of Sino-Khmer.
I'm still puzzled with. I'm still trying to find out, Mr. Civil Party, how that went about. How did they realize that you spoke with an accent, or that your wife spoke with an accent, and that they put you subsequently in a group of Chinese? Can you be a little concrete as to exactly how this happened?
Answer. All I can tell you is my mother-in-law and my in-laws were base people, and they spoke Khmer with an accent, and that's why they knew that I was part Chinese. My father was Tri Beng, and that is a Chinese first name. And this is why I was sent to the village for the Vietnamese and for the Chinese.
សូមតាំងសំណួរឲ្យពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងស្ថានភាពទុក្ខសោកវេទនានិងផ្ទះសនកម្មនេះវាសួរឆ្ងាយពេកហើយលោកមេធាវី
Council Koppe, please put questions in relation to the harm suffered by the civil party.
សូមមេធាវីបន្តសំណួរទៅមុខហើយសូមសួរឲ្យមានទំនួលពាក់ព័ន្ធសំណួរនេះលើក
Please move on to another topic because your questions are not relevant.
Fine, Mr. President, I have no more questions.
សូមអញ្ជើញមេធាវីការពីក្តីលោកខៀវសំផន
Please, Council, put your questions to the civil party. Question. Thank you, Mr. President. Civil party, I have a few questions to put to you, a few follow-up questions. First of all, I would like to know what your native province is. Is it Takeo or is it Kompong Spo? Answer. Kampong Speu. Question. Thank you. I have a document here. It is a victim's information form E3/4719. And at point 3, mention is made of your place of birth. Samrong Tom, it is. Takeo province, that's what I read. So, is it your birthplace Break Day in Takeo province? Yes, indeed. It is Break Day village, Samrong Tom district, in Kampong Speu province and not Takeo province. Question. So this means that the information here with regard to your place of birth in document E3/4719 is inaccurate. Is that the case? Yes, indeed. Earlier, says the council, when you were speaking about Non, you said that she was your sister-in-law. Is that the case? Answer. My sister-in-law was not called Non. Her name was Vut, and the other one was Bu. Thank you, says the council. So what is the link with Non? Who is Non in relation to you? Answer. He was the militia chief in the village, and he would order people to dig pits to plant banana trees and coconut trees, and he would give orders to people to transport coconuts and other things. And the people who received orders from him never disappeared forever. Answer. Question. When did you marry again? Because you said to the chamber earlier on that you were married twice. Answer. I don't remember exactly. I was 22 years old back then. And later, my wife died. And then I married another woman in 1984. Question. Thank you. So, Vut and Bu, you say they were your brothers-in-law? So, are they brothers of your first or of your second wife? Answer. What a Bu are the little brothers of my first wife. Question. Thank you. So, may I say that both were therefore the former brothers-in-law? Answer. Yes. You could say it that way. Council. So Bu and Vut were therefore your former brothers-in-law. Is that really the case? Answer, yes, indeed. Question, thank you. Now, with regard to your statement, in which you speak about when you arrived in Tram Kok, and when you speak about Tram Kok, are you referring to the village or to the commune or to the district? Answer, I'm speaking about the village of Trang Keo. Question, so when you say Tram Kok village, in fact, what you wanted to say was Tmok Keo village. Is that the case? Answer, yes. Tram Kok village is by the roadside. Tmok Keo village is south, to the south of Tram Kok. So you had to go through Tram Kok village in order to arrive at Tmok Keo village. Question. So are we speaking here about the Tmok Keo, where the Vietnamese were separated from the Cambodians? Answer, yes. It is indeed in that village that the Vietnamese were separated from the Cambodians. Question. Earlier, when you answered Council Coppa's question, you said that this was in connection with Cambodians with Chinese blood, or whose grandparents were Chinese. Is that the case? Yes. Answer. Normally speaking, when we had Chinese blood, we were sent to the Chinese village or to the Vietnamese village. Answer. Question. Correct interpreter. Thank you. So, the Chinese and the Vietnamese were living together, and they were both separated from the Cambodians? Is that what you mean? Answer, yes. They were separated from the Cambodians because they were all new people. That's why they were separated from the Cambodians. Question, thank you. Now, with regard to Cambodians from the new people, where were they living? Were they sent to the new village for the Vietnamese or for the Chinese, or were they sent to the village for the Cambodians? President, I don't see the connection here between your questions and the harm suffered by the civil party. Council Kom Som Un. Well, the civil party said that he was living in the Chinese and Vietnamese village. And my questions are trying to shed light on the different kinds of treatment meted out to the base people and to the new people. Mr. President, Council, you should focus on the suffering, on the harm endured as a result of what the civil party went through. Council Coppa.
អង្គុយចុះអត់អនុញ្ញាតទេ
Please sit down. Please sit down. You do not have the floor.
Councillor Kong Som-on, Mr. President, would you allow the civil party to respond to my question? President, no. And Mr. Civil Party, you do not need to respond to that question. Councillor Kong Som-on, I don't have any further question then. Thank you. President, Mr. Bain Boon, the Chamber is grateful for your presence in providing your statement of suffering and harms that you claim that you suffered under the Democratic Cambodia regime. And now you can actually return to your place of residence or wherever you wish to go to. And we wish you a safe journey. Court officer, in collaboration with WISU, please make necessary arrangement to transport the civil party to his residence or wherever he wishes to go to. And the TPL staff, please remain seated. The chamber will hear another statement of suffering and harm by another civil party, that is through TCCP 883. President and Councillor Coupe, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to make an observation in reaction to your ruling that we should not be asking questions to the civil party. We just had a quick look at the judgment in case 002/01. This particular civil party is used 4 times as evidence for crucial findings within the judgment. One of them is the execution of Lon Nol soldiers and officials. So it's not that we are wasting time just to ask questions because we don't have anything better to do. This civil party who has been answering questions was a material witness.
មានការបដូរមែនទេបាទសូមជឿជាក់ចេញចាស់បាទបាទ
President, I noticed that there is a new TPL staff. Then thank you for your assistance, and you may be excused. And Councillor Coupe, are you criticizing the chamber? Did we not allow you to put question to any particular civil party?
Well, that is exactly what I was doing, Mr. President. I was criticizing you for cutting us off.
ការធ្វើឲ្យឡើងលោកយើងបានអនុញ្ញាត
President, we actually instructed you not to do so. You will not be allowed the floor to do that. We already gave you a right to put a question to the civil party, and your time was used. And you just cannot take the floor whenever you wish to do so. President, good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. What is your name? Civil Party, my name is Yam Konni. Question, when were you born? Answer, I cannot recall it since I am illiterate. Question, how old are you? And Madam Civil Party, please wait for the red color on the tip of the microphone. Please, when you hear a question, try to listen carefully and consider it before you provide your response. And by that time, you will see a red light on the tip of the microphone, and it means that you are ready to respond. again. How old are you, Madam Civil Party? I am 38 years old. Question: where is your current address? Answer: in fact, I was born in Cambodia, Kraum. Question: what is your current occupation? Answer: I am a rice farmer. Question: what is your father's name? Answer: his name is Yan. Question: and your mother's name? Answer: her name is Wat. Question: are you married? If so, what is your husband's name? Answer: his name is Said, but he passed away. Question: how many children do you have? Answer: I have 6 children. President, during the proceeding, Madam Civil Party, you may make a statement of suffering and harm, if any, which could be physical, material, or mental injury that existed as direct consequences of the crimes and which were inflicted upon you during the Democratic Cambodia, resulting in your civil party application to claim collective and moral reparations, and which happened from the 17th April 1975 to the 6th of January 1979. And as requested by the lead co-lawyers for civil parties, the floor will be provided first to the lead co-lawyers to put a question to you regarding your suffering and harms during the Democratic Cambodia regime. The floor is yours, Counsel for Civil Parties. Counsel, thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, Madam James Connie. Before I put some questions to you, I'd like to get a clarification about your age. In your response to the President's question, you said that you were 38 years old. Can you recall the year that you were born? Answer: I cannot recall it as I do not know how to read or write. Question: during the Khmer Rouge regime, that is the Democratic Cambodia regime, can you recall how old were you? Answer: I was 14 years old. Counsel, thank you. On the 17th April 1975, which was the day of liberation, where were you? Answer: I was at Prey Cap. Question: which province was Prey Cap located in? Answer: I did not know which province. I only knew the area was called Prey Cap. Question. Why were you at Prekap at that particular time? Answer. I was transferred from Khmer Krom to that area. Question. Do you know the reasons you were transferred from Krom? When you say Krom, you refer to Khmer Krom area. Am I correct in saying that? Answer. Yes, I was transferred from Khmer Cambodia Krom area. Question. And did you know the reasons you were transferred from Khmer Krom area to that Prekap? Answer. My mother told us to go to Khmer Le, or the upper part of Cambodia, as there was abundance of food. So we followed her along, and we came through Phnom Den, or Den Mountain. Then we were put onto a truck and sent to Prekap. Question. Can you tell the court what were you assigned to do at the Prekap? Answer. Initially, I was assigned to carry cow dung and to cut contring tree leaves, and then ground it and took it to the rice field. And at the rice fields, there were some termite mound. We had to carry the termite mound and to place them onto the rice field. And we had to do it based on the daily quota. For example, one termite mound we had to dig one termite mound within 3 days. We had to start working or stop working when the bell was rung. Question. In regard to your living condition at Prekap, what was it like? For example, in terms of food and food ration? Answer. We were given a rice gruel, and on the next days it was a gruel mixed with cassava, and sometimes it was a rice gruel mixed with other vegetable, and sometimes it was mixed with water lily. Question. The food that was provided to you, was it sufficient for you? Answer. If we were to say that it was not sufficient, we would be mistreated. And when we were asked whether it was enough, we said yes. And when we were asked whether it was delicious, and we said yes. But in fact, it was on the contrary. Question. When you were there, at that time, that means when you were 14 years old, were you allowed to live with your parents, or were you separated? Answer. Initially, I was allowed to live with my family members, with my grandmother, but later on I was separated into a group in a unit, and my siblings were put into other units, as well as my mother, she was placed in another unit. Question. As for the contact with your family members, can you describe how was it done? Answer. I was separated from my family members and I requested to visit my family, but I was scolded that I did not yet finish my work and I wanted to go to visit my family members and I was not allowed. But I told them I miss my family members, my parents, my siblings, my grandmother, and I sought permission for half a day visit. And then I was told if I wanted to do that, they gave me baskets to go and to dig the termite mound instead. Question: when you sought permission to visit your family, was your request actually granted? Answer: no, it was not. I was not allowed to go. So I did not see my family members. At that time, because I recently separated from my parents at night time, I wept. And they joked at me that I could just continue weeping and maybe I wish that I would see my family members. Question: from that day onward until the day of the liberation, did you ever have any chance to go and visit your family? Answer: at that time, no, I did not have a chance, and later on I asked their permission to see my parents, and then I met my aunt and I looked for my parents, and then I was told that I should go to look for them in the village, and I was told that they were sent to Srai Nonong. So I went to Srai Nonong to look for them, and I found them there. Question: when you actually found them, did you stay with them? If so, for how long? Answer: I stayed there for about a week, then I was separated and placed into another unit in a cooperative to the east of Srai Nonong. They actually had a long building and I was allowed to sleep together with other girls, and for the boys they slept into a separate row. And then we were assigned to work again, for example, to carry a basket and to collect cow dung. And we had to walk in line to gather the cow dungs. And for example, if the 10 of us collected the cow dungs, then we could not go and empty our basket. We had to wait until all the girls finished collecting the cow dungs. Question: during the DK regime, which is also known as the Khmer Rouge regime, did you lose any family members? Answer: I lost my mother, my grandmother, and my siblings, totaling 6 altogether. They actually came to my children unit at the cooperative whether I wanted to return to my native village, and I said no, I don't want to go because going there or staying here was the same. But then I noticed something. I noticed maybe my mother said that she wanted to go to our native village, and for that I was anxious, and then I asked them permission from Comrade Nhiet that I wanted to visit my mother because she was sick. I told them a lie, but then they said that if I could go and treat my mother, then I would be allowed to. But after a while I was allowed to, and then I met a woman who was the best person who told me that those people were called to a meeting, and I told her that I wanted to see my mother, and she said that I better not go there because it was too risky. And I said, why? And she told me maybe I will be accused as being a spy because I was walking alone. So I was afraid. Then I returned. And then I continued working, carrying the basket to carry the soil. I tried to work hard because I didn't want to be mistreated. And at noontime, the bell was rang, so we had to eat our meal. And I hoped that I could have a better gruel. But in fact, it was not a rice gruel given to us. It was a water lily gruel. I was so saddened. And then they would walk around and ask us whether the food was delicious. Of course, everybody just tried to lie by saying that the food was delicious. And after I finished the meal, I tried to sneak out and to run to my mother's house. And I met my aunt by the name of Lim. And she scolded me that why I wanted to go there, because they said that in a few days, if we wanted to return to our native village, then we will be allowed to. And because my mother wanted to go, she raised her hand, then she was placed at one side. And my aunt asked why I didn't follow my mother to go back to our native village. I said, no, I didn't want to go. And then my mother and the rest of the family members were placed on the track together with many other people. And the track left and they disappeared since. And then there was only I remained. I did not know what happened to them or what their fate was, whether they were sick or they were sent somewhere. Because of that, I became ill and stayed at the cooperative, and then I was accused of lying to be ill. So I lost my mother, my grandmother, and the siblings. Today, and from that time until today, I have been living alone. And I remember my aunt advised that I should just keep working as my parents were sent back to our native village, and that I should just do what I was asked to do and not to protest or refuse. And if it was a sleeping time, then I should just sleep and don't do anything else. And that I should just concentrate on working. And I took her advice, and as a result, I survived, and I am here today. Question. Can you also tell the chamber about your family members? For example, your mother, your grandmother, and your siblings. Can you describe to the court their names? Answer. My father was Jan, my mother was Wat, and Ju was my grandmother, Hun was my sister, Run was my brother, and another brother was Sun, and another one was Jun, and then there was another one, and they were all taken away. And they all left me behind. At my unit, at the work site, I was asked again whether I was interested in going back to my native village. And I said no, because wherever I go, the situation would be the same. Council, thank you. I don't have any further question for you, Madam Civil Party. However, allow me to inform you if you have a request or do you have a questions for the accused, you can put it through the chamber to seek the permission from the President. And Mr. President, I don't have any further questions for this civil party. Civil party. The only thing that I recall is the suffering and the loss of my family members. If I could see them together, I would feel warm, but they had all gone, and I could not depend on anyone. When I went to visit my aunt at her house, and because I could not eat my fill, I picked a fruit. In fact, it was a quiet time, but suddenly a man came out of a forest, and then he beat me up, and there was a scar remained on my right shoulder. And I begged him, please don't beat me up, because I was hungry, and probably your children were so hungry. And then he stopped and he stared at me and asked where I was heading to. And I told him that I was heading toward my aunt's house, and he told me to drop the eggplant. So I did, and then I left, and I went to my aunt's house. And my aunt blamed me again why I returned again. And she asked whether I wanted to return to my native village, and I said yes, I was, but I refused to go. And because I did not have any other relatives, that's why I came to visit her. President and Madam Civil Party, do you have any questions that you would like to ask? Or whether you have other sufferings you would like to mention? Civil party. My main suffering is the loss of my parents and the loss of my siblings. I feel so saddened when I look at other people. They have their families, they have their parents and their siblings. For me, I'm by myself. And I try to work hard in order to survive until the fall of the regime. Then I went to look for my aunt, and my aunt took me back to my village. Actually, it took us several days before we could reach the border, and my aunt asked me not to cross the border, but to remain with my aunt at Pril village, some commune, Kirivung district, Takai province. And because I no longer have my parents, I decided to live with my aunt. So I tried to work in order to earn a little bit of living to live together with my aunt. I went to gather and carry firewood in exchange for some little money in order to fill my stomach. President, today proceeding has come to an adjournment. The chamber will adjourn now and resume tomorrow morning. That is the 3rd April 2015, commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. And tomorrow, the chamber will continue to hear the statements of sufferings and harms by civil parties. starting from Honni and to TCCP through 93 through 51 and 984. This is for the parties and the general public. And Ms. Jam Connie, the Chamber is grateful for your presence to provide statement of harms and sufferings. However, it is not yet concluded, and you are once again invited to return to this courtroom tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And court officer, please make necessary arrangement for the civil party to return to her place of residence in collaboration with WISU and have her return to the courtroom before 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And the Chamber would like to thank the TPO staff for your assistance through the civil party, and you are again invited to return tomorrow morning. And security personnel, you are instructed to take Nunchi and Kil Sampon back to the detention facility and have them back to the courtroom tomorrow morning before 9 o'clock. The court is now adjourned.